Well, here we are. It is now the Omnicast yet again. We have a great episode for all of you at home who are listening. First things first, we're going to kick things off with me reviewing the week in WWE. I'm going to be picking up on this series again, talking about this. It's going to start out as a top 10, but I might actually transition it to a top 5. We'll see going forward, just to save on time. Maybe extend the top 10 to a YouTube show. Anyways, I start out with that, and then of course I go on to continue my interview with Michael about his album that he has out with his best friend Scott. Next week, and speaking of wrestling, I might even include it in this if I have room. But if I can't, we'll see about next week. I'm going to go ahead and share at that point this interview. Me and Michael reviewing the Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley match. That's good stuff itself. It's a pretty lengthy conversation, but it was good. Anyways, enjoy the show. And now I am back to talking about professional wrestling. This is Daniel Crawford here, obviously the host of the Omnicast. And, part of this Omnicast, as I mentioned in the past, is to talk about professional wrestling. And now, since the first episode of the Omnicast, last weekend, I got a little bit busy. Korn released a new album, so we also had the Royal Rumble, and also a major snowstorm came through my area. So a bunch of stuff has happened to keep me distracted. But without any further delay, let's get right to it. In this, the revival of our wrestling reviews here, our wrestling discussion, is no longer extra as it used to be called. Now I'm just going to talk about the top 10 highlights, in my view, from WWE. This, of course, is spanning the Royal Rumble 2022, which was this past Saturday, through February 4th, which, of course, was SmackDown. So, what are these top 10 highlights? Well, number one, I'm just going to start from 10 and work my way up. This is how we're going to do it from now on. Kind of like a countdown. So, number 10, Sami Zayn is still gold. So, this made number 10 here because it's really hard for me to ignore Sami Zayn. He's just freaking hilarious. This whole feud that he has going on with Johnny Knoxville. I'm so glad that it didn't end at the Royal Rumble. It's obvious these two are going to do something at WrestleMania, and I cannot wait because Sami Zayn is just hilarious. I love him as a heel. I hope he never turns back into a babyface because he's just gold. Pure and simple. The conspiracy theories, his complaints about how the fans ruined his podcast because they were booing in the background, like all this stuff. And also him being tased. Him going at it back and forth with Pat McAfee on SmackDown about how he was literally electrocuted. and how he still feels like he has the jolts going through his body right now. Like, I love it. It's just good stuff. So, number 9 here, in my view, is Charlotte being challenged by Ronda Rousey. So, of course, I'm going to get into this later on because Ronda Rousey occupies a lot of spots in this countdown here. But right here makes number 9 because, the build-up for WrestleMania, a lot of people obviously want to see Becky and Ronda. And we'll get into that in a second. But they also teased this feud with Charlotte and Ronda during the Royal Rumble. And, unfortunately, I hear too much about what the dirt sheets say about wrestling, so I already knew there was some discussion about having this rivalry go on, which is fine, because they also have unfinished business from WrestleMania 35. So here we go. Ronda Rousey's back, and she is challenging Charlotte, saying that she's not special. She's just the first one on her list. So obviously that means she's going to go right after Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, the rivalry with Becky won't be at WrestleMania, but it will likely be at SummerSlam. And regardless of whether Becky still holds the title or not, it's going to be at SummerSlam. So with that in mind, this was an interesting little back and forth on SmackDown. Charlotte has this obnoxious tone that she takes, which is fine because that's her whole character. She's the heel or anti-hero sort of. So people love to hate her. I don't really despise Charlotte. She annoys me at times, but at the very least, she helps provide entertainment because she is one of the absolute best in the history of the industry. And I don't think there's any disputing that, especially in the women's division. So anyways, looking forward to this match. I know a lot of people are crapping all over it, but I'm not, because I am excited for it because it's WrestleMania. And you know these two are going to put on a show. A one-on-one match between Charlotte and Rousey. It's going to be great. So, Paul Heyman, this is number 8. Paul Heyman is back with Roman Reigns. So, of course, this will lead into something I want to get into a little bit later, or be a part of that. But Paul Heyman betrayed Brock Lesnar, joined back up with Roman Reigns, and he had this really stellar promo on SmackDown, which, of course, when you have Paul Heyman on the mic, you can guarantee there's going to be some magic, coming out of his mouth there, because Paul Heyman is just awesome on the mic. I think he is the best hype man in the history of this industry, and that's saying something, because I also consider Vince McMahon to be one of the absolute best of all time. I think obviously Vince is the best promoter of all time, but Paul Heyman gets you so hyped up for it, which was one of the major reasons why I loved ECW. So anyways, Paul Heyman, this is going to be gold, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. Obviously, they're going to do a title versus title between Roman and Brock, which means Brock will defeat Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber for the world title. But I'm looking forward to it. It's great stuff. They're building this awesome story, and I can't wait. So then we move on to number 7 here. Number 7 is this whole story and match with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Royal Rumble, these two had a great match. I'm also going to make some honorable mentions later on, because I just realized I forgot to put something on there. But anyways, these two had a great match. The story there, Seth was inside Roman's head. They did a lot of callbacks during this match, spanning from one of the many ways Seth Rollins, he reverses the spear into a pedigree. This was the 3rd time he's done that in one of their matches. How he came out to the Shield music, and how he was dressed like he was a Shield member. And at the end of the match, after Roman got himself disqualified, he hit Seth Rollins over the back with a steel chair, just like what Seth did to him when he betrayed the Shield. So just great stuff all around. Love this story. How Roman got a disqualification on him. This is one of those things where it makes sense. He got a disqualification on himself because he couldn't beat Seth Rollins, and that was just awesome. Number 6 here, a little bit of comedy. I'm sorry, but I love comedy. This is why I don't hate the 24/7 title, is because comedy and wrestling, they just go hand in hand. So you have a lot of these hypocrites out there who will hate on WWE for doing comedic skits, but then they will fawn all over themselves when AEW or someone else does it. It just makes no sense to me. But anyways, the scooter race, I loved it. Everything with Chad Gable as a smarmy, obnoxious heel who keeps bragging that he has a master's degree that he earned with a 4.0. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Everything with Chad Gable right now is just gold. I love the whole Chad Gable Otis tag team. I love that they're tag team champions, and I love how Riddle just keeps holding this candle for Randy. And Randy again is not in the picture because I guess he's going to be taking a little bit of time off TV, unfortunately. But he keeps dedicating his matches to Randy as if Randy has passed away. But I love it. I love it. This whole scooter race, which of course ended with Chad Gable winning because of Otis cheating, helping him win. It was constant entertainment throughout the night. So yes, I love this stuff. Number 5, Becky and Lita have a confrontation here. So after Ronda Rousey had left the ring, of course we'll get into that momentarily, Becky Lynch was waiting for a challenger, and Lita comes out to the ring. Lita, of course, she and Becky kind of go back and forth a little bit, and then Lita offers a challenge. Becky Lynch tries to back out of it, and then Lita says, "What, are you scared?" So Becky Lynch, her heel character, she takes offense to this. She accepts the challenge, and now we have a great match, kind of a dream match, between Becky Lynch and Lita for the Women's Championship at Elimination Chamber. This was good stuff. I am excited for it. I can't wait. There was no way this wasn't going to make the top 5. So now number 4, Becky Lynch confronted by Ronda Rousey. So this is the story so many people wanted. It made a lot of sense for it to be at WrestleMania, but I'm thinking they're probably gunning for next year's WrestleMania between these two. Probably going to have Becky dodging Ronda up until then, or even up through SummerSlam. Either way, SummerSlam will be a really big show again this year as a result of this story. regardless, Ronda Rousey coming out and confronting Becky was just, or rather not coming out and confronting Becky, but Becky coming out and confronting Ronda. And Ronda Rousey and Becky, I really want this match to happen. And I love this story. I love how Becky picked up right where she left off, calling Ronda Rousey a little weirdo. All these little callbacks in here. The story is there. There's so much gold. There is money in this feud. I will shell out money to see these two go at it. So, anyways, great stuff there. And now we move to number 3. Number 3 is not storyline based at all, but I think it has to make a top 3 because it is so significant. So Shane McMahon returned at the Royal Rumble. And the word is that he had changed the booking for the Royal Rumble and made himself become a Final Four participant in the Rumble. A lot of fans it kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Watching it, I was okay with it, but I learned later that he angered a lot of superstars. So he returned, and then just a handful of days later, he was fired from WWE. So Shane McMahon was terminated for being, a McMahon and putting himself over. So, I guess that's not fair because, McMahons actually do have a history of not putting themselves over typically. McMahon will, Vince himself actually would make himself that that idiot heel who would always get beat up at the end of he basically would get his comeuppance. But anyway, Shane McMahon, I was excited to see him back, but then when you hear about the circumstances, it kind of sucks. But whatever, he got fired. Big news there. Also, slight possibility that he could actually be Tony Khan's big surprise on Dynamite for their Forbidden Door walkthrough and becoming a new signed superstar. So I don't know, that would be interesting, but I stopped watching AEW personally. Nothing, and I don't hold it against anyone who watches AEW, but I'm not personally interested anymore. Anyways, moving on. Number 2, top 2. I'm sorry. Coming back to her, I said she's going to occupy a lot of spaces here. Ronda Rousey's return got a huge pop from me. It was one of the, I guess you could say, 3 returns that I absolutely wanted to see. I wanted to see Alexa Bliss return to action in the Rumble. I wanted to see Paige. I would have absolutely marked out for Paige, which I know she's probably still not cleared to enter into the ring. And she loves the industry. She just can't do it. So I think that she would have been allowed to come back in if she would have been cleared. Either way, I would have popped for that. And the third one that would have made me pop was Ronda Rousey. And guess what? She returned. I popped. I was happy. I was happy to see that she returned. And once I saw she was in there, I was like, yeah, she's definitely winning this thing. And she won. And yeah, that was pretty big itself. People may hate on it, but the booking makes sense because Ronda Rousey is a draw. I don't care who you are, Ronda Rousey is a draw, and the ratings for Raw actually kind of prove it. Anyways, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, their match makes the number 1 highlight. Surprising that in the Royal Rumble week that none of the Rumbles actually made the top spot here because I love the Royal Rumble matches. I did not hate this year's Rumbles like a lot of idiots out there do. I mean, the Women's Rumble was really stellar. The Men's Rumble, it didn't have a lot of big surprises, but I thought it was decent. But Brock versus Bobby, a dream match of dream matches that remains. I've been looking forward to this match for a long time. Since I started watching WWE again, I saw, when I was getting caught up, I saw that Bobby Lashley was very much someone who I wanted to see face Brock Lesnar. Then when Bobby Lashley came back to WWE, it was like, this match had to happen. And I've been hoping for it for years now, and now it finally happened. And I thought, while the match was short, it was still really good, very entertaining, leaves me wanting more. And I like the story they told in it. How they were going back and forth, how Bobby Lashley was an even match for Brock Lesnar, kind of caught Brock off guard. They both did similar moves to each other. Brock Lesnar almost had the match won, but Roman cost him. There's just so much here built for WrestleMania. But these two beasts, you just want to see them go at it again. But we finally got the match we've been wanting, and that had to make number 1. My second favorite superstar of all time, my current favorite of active superstars, Brock Lesnar, going up against a great heel and Bobby Lashley. I loved this story. I love this match. I love this pay-per-view. I don't give a shit what anyone says. What a week in wrestling. What a week, rather, in WWE. Because, it'd be dishonest if I said wrestling in general because, this is not all-encompassing for the entire industry. And bonus mention. First bonus mention I want to make is Rick Boogs, his guitar, it wasn't connected to the system. It wasn't connected to the overhead system and on SmackDown, which sucked because we didn't get to hear the guitar going off. But you know what? Boogs was still entertaining. He's like sitting there trying to strum at the guitar, looking all confused and stuff. Like, it made for funny TV there. And also Pat McAfee just killing me in the background, saying he's not missing a single note. That was all gold. But the last big bonus mention that I really wish I had been able to put in the top 10, just so much stuff to put in there, was the mixed tag team match. I thought it was the best mixed tag team match I've ever seen, with the Grit couple, that's Edge and Beth Phoenix, versus the It couple, Maurice and Miz. Great matchup here. Beth and Edge get the victory, after they hit the Glam Slam, which Edge's Glam Slam looked better than Beth's. But either way, they all looked great. What a night of action. What a week of action. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to continue doing these going forward. It will be a part of every week's episodes of the Omnicast. And I might even do an extended version on the YouTube show so I can go further in depth on this stuff. So thank you, and let's go on to the next thing. Make sure you stay tuned, because coming up is this interview with Michael Reed talks more about the history of AntiSeptic Soul as we talk about his album now, The Pincushion 2022. Featured in this are the rest of the songs from the demo for AntiSeptic Soul. Hope you enjoy.
But I felt like it was getting amazing. Like, the demo shit that you hear in the live performances that you hear from AntiSeptic Soul, like, they're alright, but where we got to before things happened and
you guys were
stage left.
You guys were about to record like 7 or 8 more songs, weren't you?
Oh, we had quite a bit, but we also had a few covers that we did,
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
From Whom the Bell Tolls. That
Coming Undone was another.
Yeah, Coming Undone was another. But that stuff was more nicotine.
Right.
That's right. But we did do From Whom the Bell Tolls when we were in.
In case you're listening and you wonder what nicotine is, that was his previous band before AntiSeptic Soul.
Yes.
They merged STD and Social Stress Disorder and nicotine merged together to become AntiSeptic Soul.
Yes. And actually, a little fun.
And that's
fact,
a whole conversation for another day.
That fun fact of all this. My rap partner,
Scott Bragg,
Lil Zip, aka Lil Zip. He was in Nicotine.
Yep.
And
wasn't he your bassist?
No, he was another guitarist. He was,
okay. I knew he had one of those two instruments in there.
There was talks between everybody, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus.
No, that's right. It was Vlad who was the bassist still at the time.
Vlad was the drummer of the band and turned into the bassist.
Okay.
Yeah, Vlad was the drummer for Nicotine, and then he became the bassist.
Nicotine probably would have went far too if you guys didn't have a falling out at the end there.
Well, we didn't really have a falling out. It's just we
played
a gig, certain things happened, other shit happened.
And you guys were approached by Corey and Draven, right?
Yeah.
Because Corey and Draven was all that was.
I was at a party, Chastity's birthday party, and we performed, and right after the set, I had some members of my band come up and say, hey, let's go talk. And then we went outside and we talked about forming the band, and other shit happened. Right. And I'm not going to get into that.
I would love to see the world you see, but the trust in anchors and taking over me. Happiness is gone, passed away. In the grave, and in decay. We're already here in hell's flame, scarring each other with poison waves.
So the reason why I brought this up is because it's a history of your involvement in music. You guys, as you used to always say, and this is part of why I know has bugged you ever since, is you guys almost made it with AntiSeptic Soul. You guys were like on the verge of performing in front of like someone who was like a producer.
Like it was like a producer or somebody was supposed
there was
to
like there was a concert you guys were going to do.
It was at Scully's in Columbus.
That's right. And you were going to because there was that producer who was going to possibly be there.
Well, I heard he was. From what I heard, he was going to be in the crowd listening for new acts to try to
sign someone.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's another band. I don't want to say their name on here because I don't want to like.
Right.
But we've done shows with them, and yeah,
Did that other band get signed?
It was man, I don't want to be too disrespectful because they're good people. But
we're involved.
But in our opinion,
you guys were better.
We were better. And
then
they got signed.
My favorite performance you guys did, and I'm happy to hear they got signed because that means you guys would have got signed.
I'm happy for them, even though obviously their style was not mine.
Right.
Like they played some good music. It's just certain timings were off.
Right.
And you can hear it. And you can tell.
Like they weren't prepared. Like
they were prepared, but they were ill prepared. And like they were doing their thing, but they had certain points where people were like a little off.
Now,
so they were prepared, but it wasn't fully.
So I know that's always stuck in your craw. Part of what led to this, because you've always been wanting to do music.
Well, after that, I stopped making music.
For a long time,
7 years, and then I wrote a certain song that is actually going to be coming out within the next 2 albums.
We'll get back to Michael and his description of his upcoming album at our next episode. But for right now, let's take you to the final song from their demo for AntiSeptic Soul that we're going to share here. This is, of course, with Michael still as lead singer, but right now his backup singer, Corey, steps up and performs alongside Michael as backup. This time, Cry On. So there you had it. We heard in this interview, we heard, Social Trust Disorder, which was their premiere song for AntiSeptic Soul. And then we heard Cry On, which was, of course, the song that just played. So a great interview here. It continues next time around. So I hope to catch you next time.